Hey everyone, my name is Joe LaBelle. I'm the Director of Programs Impact at Family Networking Disabilities. Today, we're going to be talking about making your case. So how to talk to members of the legislature here in Florida and at the national level, the importance of advocacy, being an advocate, telling your story, and then visits with the legislature. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Wonderful. So welcome. We're so glad that you're here. Family Networking Disabilities is a 501c3 nonprofit. We are family driven. So what do? We provide information, resources, support, and training. What do we not do? We do not act as doctors, mental health professionals, or attorneys. That is not our role. We want to provide you information, resources, support, and training. So the importance of advocacy. There are a number of different ways to look at advocacy in the democratic process, registering to vote, voter accessibility. You truly can make a difference in your voting and in your advocacy efforts. And then we're going to look at some sample campaigns. First and foremost, vote. If you are not voting, you are not a part of the solution. We need to be voting at every opportunity we have. So whoever you vote for, I do not care about your political affiliation or registration. Vote to make a difference. Get registered. Get your friends registered, your family registered, and get out and vote. Now you can go to us.gov/how to vote to get registered. That's so important, so important. Now, accessibility for persons with disabilities for voting. Family Networking Disabilities was a part of this process, helping make sure that polls are accessible, that persons with a variety of different disabilities, whether it be physical disability, being blind, deaf and hard of hearing, needing assistance inside the voting booth, that you have the right to a private vote, okay? You can vote by mail from the comfort of your home. You can participate in supervised voting, vote on a touchscreen or other accessible devices at the polling station. A lot of polling stations use touchscreen devices already, but every station needs to have accessible voting systems. Now, persons with disabilities, voter rights, your rights to cast a secret ballot independently. So just because you're a person with a visual disability, or just because you're someone who uses a wheelchair or has a mobility device, does not mean you forfeit that right for a secret ballot. That's really important. Polling place accessibility, voting options, all of those are absolutely critical to the system. You can vote early in many places, in many states, many counties. You can vote by mail. You can do day of voting. And then voter ID, what to know. Make sure you have your ID with you. Make sure that you have your voter registration card. Just make sure you've got everything that you need to vote day of. Now remember, the folks that we're talking about, they work for you. The members of the legislature, they work for you, everyday people, all realms of people in the United States. They work for us. It's not enough that they were elected. It's what they promised. Is that happening? So we need to hold them accountable and make sure that we're educating them on what's important, which is our word, what we want to happen. Now, an educated, enlightened, and informed population is one that one of the surest ways of promoting a healthy democracy, and that's Nelson Mandela. Now, partners in policymaking in Minnesota's Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities put together an amazing app that you have on your cell phone, your tablet, Amazon Kindle, all different types of things. And that's going to help you tell your story. It's going to help you understand the voting process. It's going to help you understand the legislative process. So there's a bunch of different factors inside of this. And the world truly is run by those who show up. Now, you can make a difference. You know, if a lawmaker hears from 5 to 10 people on any given topic, that's a lot. There are forums, town hall meetings, rallies, marches, and all different types of opportunities to engage with your legislature, members of your legislature. Advocacy includes educating policymakers and the public about broad social issues to encourage people to register to vote. So this is a campaign that took place here in Florida and on a national level several years ago called the R word. The R word, spread the word to end the word. Pledge to show respect, stop using the R word. Highly successful. We have this built into a number of anti-discrimination laws. We have it built in engaging members of the legislature, in the governor's cabinet. All different political parties and affiliations got behind this campaign. Now, being an advocate, let's talk about that. There are 3 A's to advocacy, and we're going to go over those. Knowing who to talk to in the district, what does that mean? Understanding the rules and knowing the issues. So the 3 A's of advocacy are awareness, advancement, and action. So making yourself aware of the issue, helping others become aware of the issue, advancement, taking that next step, becoming an advocate, going to the state or the federal level to advocate with members of the House and the Senate about issues. And then action is that formal, let's educate. Let's make sure that representatives who represent us in our district at the state and federal level are taking action to help advance our needs as a disability community. Honestly, get it out of your head that you can do anything else, even a little bit. Keep your eye on the ball. So this is talking about credibility and the quality of being trusted and believed in. The government's loss of credibility, synonym, trustworthiness, reliability, dependency, integrity, all of those things. You have to be credible. If you have lost your credibility, no one is going to be able to believe you. No one's going to be able to work with you. You need to be credible in what you're talking about. So many members of the legislature have a staff that is this big. They've got only a couple of staff members that work with them, a couple legislative aides, and there are so many different topics they need to cover, all aspects of life. The disability community is one of those aspects. So if you're going to provide information and resources and be a resource for a member of the legislature, please be credible, because if you lose that credibility, it won't be gained back. Knowing who you talk to. So which district or state are you a part of? Who is your representative? Making sure we're connecting with the right people. Legislative record. So you can Google any of the state legislative representatives or the federal legislative representatives and see how do they vote on a specific issue or topic. So you can really see, are they going to be an ally, or are they going to be someone that you're going to have to spend a little bit more time working with and helping educate their staff on why this topic is important? Which committees do they sit on? So legislative committees are really important. When the laws are being passed here in Florida and at the federal level, they go through education committee, appropriations committee. Appropriations is money, funding. They go through ethics committees, all different types of places, and they have to be passed along the way. So if you're advocating or educating with a member of the House or Senate that is on one of these committees, you want to make sure that the committee they sit on is important to the topic you're discussing. Because you also don't want to spin your wheels talking to someone who is not going to help advance your goal or your mission. Where are they on the seniority scale? So are they a junior senator or junior House member? Are they someone who's been in the system a long time and knows how to navigate some of those political climates? That's important to understand as well. And then what party are they a part of? And how is their party voting on whatever topic or issue that you're talking about and wanting to advance? Disability issues are a bipartisan issue. So both the Republicans, the Democrats, independents, we're all working towards advancement for disability issues. And it's important to recognize that. Now, in the district, what does this mean? It means when your representative at the state or federal level is back home in your local district. So if it's a federal representative, that means they're here in Florida. If it's a state representative, then, or state senator, that means they're in your county. And in the district, you can talk to their district legislative aides. You can set an appointment to meet with them in person at the district level. There's lots you can do without having to go to Tallahassee or Washington, D.C. to help educate legislators on whatever it is that's important to you, your family, your community, and that's going to be a systemic issue. Be willing to take action. So if they ask, can you be a resource for me? Or can you do X, Y, and Z? Be willing to step up to the plate and say, yes, I'm able to help with this. Or I have someone that can be a great resource or that can help advance this mission. It's important to share information. So when you're going, we like to recommend having one pagers of what are your key topics for that very specific issue you're bringing up that you want to educate the legislative member on. Okay, so be concise, make it easy to understand. Don't have a 5-page novel. The legislative aides, the senator or House representative themselves are not going to be able to read through that 5, 10, 20-page document. Have a one-pager that's bullet pointed with reliable, credible information and sources. Knowing the issues, so understanding bills, knowing your facts, and having a clear message. So it's really important to work in a group, to work with other advocates who have been doing this longer than you. And then if you've been doing this a long time, help other advocates that are just starting. So create that group, break down, have someone who can help you break down what the bill that's in front of the House or the Senate or that combined bill is actually saying and doing. And then know your facts. Do not make something up. If you do not know, say you do not know. Do not make something up on the spot. That's how you lose your credibility. Have a clear message. Oftentimes, when we're talking about these really passionate pieces of information that affect our children's lives, our lives as people with disabilities, we can easily go off on a tangent or go off on this other topic, or this is what happened, but then this also happened, but then something else also happened. Be clear and be concise. Understanding the rules and the legislative process. So it's really important to understand what the process is, understand how to address a committee. What is a committee? How do you sign up to speak at a committee? You don't just show up and speak. You have a process to be able to speak. How do you address the chairperson in that committee? How do you go about setting up a meeting in the district? How do you go about setting up a meeting in DC or in Tallahassee? Find a mentor for this process. Now, learning meeting schedules, that's important. At any given time during session in Tallahassee or DC, there are different meetings, different legislative committee meetings happening in different places. Some are closed committee meetings, others are open committee meetings. There's a wide variety of different ways to engage, but learn those schedules. You also want to make sure that if you're scheduled to speak in more than one, if you're going up for DD Awareness Day, Developmental Disability Awareness Day, you're scheduled to speak at several different committees, make sure you know where they are. Make sure you've walked the Capitol, you know where parking is. Parking is going to be hard on those legislative days. Make sure you are there early. Make sure you're aware if there have been changes to the rooms of where those committee meetings are going to be, and you have a buffer of time in between those meetings. If it's back to back, talk to someone else on your legislative team, on your advocacy group, of maybe you grab one and the other person grabs another, okay? Your emotions. Now, we're talking about issues that are near and dear to our heart, that are incredibly important, right? And sometimes emotions can get the best of us. If you do not feel that you can stand up in front of a committee meeting or in a meeting one-on-one with one of the representatives, it's important to let someone else take that role and let them communicate that mission or that at what you're trying to advance. You can absolutely be a part of the planning process. You can be there to support that other person. You can be there to maybe answer some follow-up questions. But if you're worried that you're not going to be able to handle your emotions in that moment, This isn't just about you and your family. This is about the entire state of Florida and outcomes that affect not just special education, but the entire disability community. So we want to make sure that that message is conveyed clearly in this process. So now telling your story, stories from the heart, organizing your story. What is a handwritten letter? Why are we handwriting letters? Why is that important? Phone calls and public speaking. So let's jump in. Stories from the heart, turning emotions into advocacy, telling your story in 30 seconds less. So let's start from stories from the heart. So members of the House and Senate, they want to hear from you. They want to hear why this issue is important to one of their constituents. You, as a person that lives here in Florida, are a constituent, okay? If it's a federal representative, everyone's a constituent in Florida. If it's a state representative, you have to make sure that you are a constituent from their district, okay? So being able to explain, how is this affecting me or my family, me as a person with a disability, or my child that has a disability, or my brother or my sister, how is it affecting us in a real, tangible way? Telling your story in 30 seconds or less, it's called an elevator speech. And an elevator speech is just that. Can you tell your story? Can you get your point across by the time you enter an elevator to get up to the top or the bottom of where you're going? And that's important, okay? So practice in the car. When I was preparing my elevator speech and getting ready for speaking in front of members of the legislature, I would record myself all the time in the car. I would write it down in the notes section of my cell phone. There's lots of different options and opportunities. Then there's the ask, and that's when you, well, pre-COVID, extend your hand. Will you help my mission? Now it's a friendly wave. Will you help my mission? So what is that ask? What are you asking them to support in this process, right? And then knowing your audience. Again, look at their voting history, look at how their party is caucusing or how their party is voting together, and where is their seniority, all of those things that we had talked about previously. Organize your story. So you want to be specific. You want to have bulleted points that you can reference. If you're going to write down your story, I highly recommend doing those bullet points that you can glance down, see, okay, great, without having this 10-page document where you might lose your spot, get off point, all of those different things. Make it personal. You know, we want to hear what happened to you. This issue affects all different types of people across the state, but how did it affect you? Make it informative, so give detail, and then make it timely, okay? So if we're bringing something up in front of the legislature, we're meeting with someone, if we're meeting with them at the end of the legislative session, it's not going to be in a timely manner. They're not going to be able to put a bill together or advance a bill that may have died in a committee that you're trying to help advocate to get back on track. We have only a few months during the legislative process to get bills passed. So it's really important that we're timely. Now, you can always start early. You can meet with representatives in the district, like we talked about, ahead of time before session even starts, so that they can help start preparing now. Handwritten letters. So we never recommend sending just like stock form letters that they're going to get 1,000 of. Does it help? Yeah, sometimes it does. Sending 1,000,000 of these letters, it helps show there's broad support. But making a letter specific and personal is going to give that representative an opportunity to get to know you, your story. And I've seen representatives on the inside of a committee saying, Barbara from my home district told me that this issue is important to her, and here's the letter that shows that. That's going to make an impact. That's going to help them advance the mission. Then identify specific legislation. This is what you're trying to advance. This is what you're trying to work on. Check spelling, grammar, gender, buzzwords, names, all of those different things. Make sure we're addressing people with their proper titles. So chairperson, there's a million different titles that committee leads have, and vice leads, and so make sure we're using the appropriate titles. Then let them know that your short story can be shared. with others if you're comfortable with that. Phone calls. Timing is critical. So all the calls are logged. And let's talk about a few brief points. So when you have a call with a office in the district or the state office, the federal office, you're typically going to speak to an aide. And legislative aides are just as important, if not more, than speaking to the representative themselves. Why? The representative is going to be the one advancing the mission. They're going to be the one advocating on the floor, absolutely. But the legislative aide is going to get your information in front of them. It's going to get your information in their hands. So that same person, if you have an in-person meeting set up, that same person that's pouring your coffee or asking if you want a bottle of water is typically going to be the same person that's going to be doing an analysis of whatever you give the representative when your meeting ends and helps them better understand it. If you are kind of going back to that meeting for a second, if you're meeting with a representative and they end up saying last minute, hey, I got pulled away to a committee meeting, you're going to meet with my aide, take the meeting. Don't say no, don't be disrespectful, take the meeting. That legislative aide is going to help advance what you're talking about with the legislator. So it's really important to understand that. Public speaking, it gets easier with practice. I promise that. I've been public speaking since working as a public speaker since I was in elementary school. So it definitely gets better with practice. But make your ask with emotion. Prioritize your ask. So that ask is, will you support X, Y, and Z piece of legislation? Work with props if you have them. So if we're talking about assistive technology, maybe bring in some of those assistive technology devices that your child uses. Those are really great props. Leave materials with them. So if you're going into a meeting in an office at the district, state, or federal offices, bring a couple of those one-pagers that we talked about previously so that you can leave them there. If you have a business card, leave a business card. And if you're a parent, I never say just a parent. You're never just a parent. You are an advocate and you need to know that. So what I love to encourage for parents to do, go to Staples, go to Vistaprint, spend $10 and get some business card printed with parent of Johnny or parent of so-and-so, advocate for my child. Put your information, your email, make sure it's a professional email. Doesn't have to have a professional handle. It can be a Gmail email, but it can be your full name and then a number, or Johnny's educational records, or whatever that means to you and your family. Just make sure it's a professional reading email, and then your phone number. So attach that to your one-pagers. So with public speaking, relax. It does get easier. If it's your first time, you might be terrified, and that's okay. Whenever I'm speaking in public, I get butterflies in my stomach every single time, and I love that. I think it's important that you feel a little bit of that, but just relax. Project your voice. Hopefully we'll have a microphone to be able to use. If there is not a microphone, make sure that we use our voice in an appropriate volume. I like to speak in a model, in a way that is going to be clear. I'm enunciating everything I say. The way I'm speaking right now, this is not my typical voice. My friends even joke and laugh that it's my presenter voice, it's my commercial voice, because I will click it on at the drop of a hat when I'm in a presentation mode. So absolutely pace yourself. You don't want to talk a million miles a minute, because when you talk a million miles a minute, no one's going to understand you. It's going to be really hard to get everything out. You only have a little bit of time, but oh my gosh, there's so much to get through. Pace yourself. Going a million miles a minute is not going to help advance your mission, right? Make eye contact. If you have the ability, make eye contact. If it's a committee meeting, Look at everyone individually, okay? Pull them into your story, okay? Humor if appropriate. Oftentimes, you don't know where someone jokes, you don't know how it's going to be taken. I typically leave humor off to the side. Um, but if you're in a one-on-one meeting and you're having a good banter back and forth, great, go with it. The members, the House representatives, the senators, they're all people just like we are, and you want to make that connection. No villains and no ultimatums. So we do not speak ill of other representatives, of House members, senators. We do not say bad things about them, about their colleagues, because those are their colleagues. And what's going to happen if you're speaking ill of someone else? Are you then going to down the line speak badly about the person you're meeting with? And what are they going to think about that? No ultimatums. It is not a you do this or else, because what's going to happen? Walls are going to go up. They're going to say, you need to do this or else, blah, blah, blah. The representative, the aide is going to then tune you out. And then the first opportunity they get, they're going to say, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate your time. I've got to go to another meeting. They're going to get up and exit. So do not make ultimatums. Now, what if you cry? Hey, it happens. It absolutely happens. Take a moment. Even the most experienced presenters will cry from time to time. It's natural. Don't feel embarrassed, and don't feel the need to immediately go and sit down. Just take a second, regain your composure, and keep going. Now, again, we talked about this a little while ago. If you don't feel that you're going to be able to get through this of the meeting or the committee meeting, ask another part of your advocacy team, would they step in and help be the voice for the cause you are helping prepare, for that mission you're working on. Now, we've gone through a lot of these, so I'm going to skip through a few of them. Making your appointment and being on time. So one of my favorite things to do, we do this training in Tallahassee with my staff, and one of my favorite things to do is I will say to my staff, okay, meet me at the lobby of the Rotunda in Tallahassee at 9:30 a.m. And then we'll make that plan the night before at the hotel. And then I go upstairs and I don't communicate with them. I don't talk to them. I don't travel with them to the Capitol. And I get there half an hour early. I know where to park. I've been to the Capitol a million times. So I park, I get there, I'm sitting in the rotunda half an hour early, okay? Typically what happens, my staff struggles to find parking. The first time, it never happens again. But they struggle to find parking, they have to go through security, they may not get to the right rotunda, they may go to the wrong building. All of those things will blockade or delay when they get to where they're supposed to be. Those are all real factors. Navigating the parking in Tallahassee or DC. If you're in DC and you're taking the metro, that's an experience. There's always traffic in DC. Taxis are horrible to get around with. Get there early, be on time, because the legislative member may say, hey, I actually got called to a meeting. Can you walk and talk with me? Or can you meet 10 minutes early, 20 minutes early? Get there early. Meet as a group. So if you're deciding, hey, I'm going to be there, let's all meet at 10 a.m. and then we've each got our separate assignments. If you get there at 10:30 because of parking, because of the security, the line for security is out the door. If you're going to Tallahassee during DD Awareness Day, that security line can take 20, 30 minutes just to get through sometimes. So be prepared for those things. Keep an eye on those types of things. But if you say get there at 10, you get there at 10:30, they've left. They've already left you. So make sure you get there early. I can't stress that enough. We've talked about testifying before a meeting, knowing the drill, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. We've talked about the Capitol. So how to ask for a meeting. You can ask for a meeting by as simple as calling up the local district office, the Tallahassee office, the DC office, and saying, hey, I'd like to set a meeting. Call with plenty of time ahead of time. if you're going to DD Awareness Day or one of the various days at the Capitol, if you call a couple days before, they're going to have no time. Call months ahead of time to be able to schedule this meeting for one of those days at the Capitol. Be flexible. Absolutely. We talked about that before. If the legislative member is not able to meet with you, meet with their aide. Ask if you can meet with their aide. Be flexible to walk and talk with them. I had one meeting one time up in DC where the legislative member, their office was getting new furniture that day. And so he met us outside and he said, I am so sorry. My office, they're tearing everything out right now. They're redoing it. Can we meet here in the hallway? Of course we can. So my team, we met with him in the hallway. We each had 1-pagers and we went over our scripts. We had divided out. So we had a 15-minute meeting. It was a long meeting with the legislative member. So we each divided out 3 minutes for that 15-minute meeting. And then we had some time at the end for him to ask us questions. And then we offered to be a resource. So close the deal, ask for that, will you support us? That is lobbying when you make that ask. Now, educating is when you simply provide information. That's an important distinction. Lobbying, will you support my cause? Educating, hey, here's the facts, here's the information, here's how it affects me, my family, our community. I want to provide this to you. Bring business cards, absolutely. Do not take gifts. Legislative members cannot take gifts. That's bribery. There's a lot of things attached to that. Don't take gifts. Even something small, a small trinket. You know, if you are from a citrus farm in Florida and you want to bring up a thing of oranges, don't bring gifts. Just doesn't work out well. We talked a lot about this already of working with the staff. Friend or foe, you want to have a good working relationship with legislative aides, legislative staff. They do so much. The Florida House has 1 aide. Florida Senate has 2 aides. If you're a chair of a committee, you may have 1 or 2 extra aides, but there's a very, very small staff. So make sure that you're friendly and you're on good terms. So we talked about these 1-pagers. Follow-up is critical. So tweet at them. Send them, tag them in a Facebook post, take a selfie with them and post on Facebook and tag them in that post. Thank them for their meeting. Send them an email and thank them for their meeting. Ask them, you know, again, please support my issue if you're lobbying, provide additional follow-up information if you're educating, and again, thank them and offer to be a resource. So tip number 1, educate before you legislate. Be credible. Don't get your feelings hurt. It's the cause, not you. So if your team says, hey, you know, Joe, I don't think you're the right person to be the one speaking at this committee. I think it's Kathy. Let Kathy take the baton and run, and don't get your feelings hurt. It's not about you, it's about the cause. Tip 4, 5 to 15-minute meetings. 15 is a long meeting. So take the time you can get. If it's 5 minutes, say yes. If it's 15 minutes, say, wow, thank you. Participate in elections. Don't complain about the process unless you are part of the solution. Just vote. Thank you so much for being a part of this presentation. You can see here, we have Poppin, our North Florida Parent Training Information Center. We have PSN, our Central Western Parent Training Information Center. We have Penn, our Central Eastern Parent Training Information Center. And we have Family Star, our program focused on providing support, training, and information to families who have kids with medical and mental health challenges. We have one of the largest special needs trust administrations in the country, and our Advocate program that provides father-focused activities. We have tons of resources on our website. It is fndusa.org. Todos nosotros podremos hablar español, casi todos nosotros podremos hablar español. Entonces, ¿cuál idioma quieres? Podremos ayudarte. And then reach out. You can reach us at 800-825-5736. And then you can also go to our website, fndusa.org, and request a callback or a resource for any of our staff members, and we'll connect you to the right staff member in the region. So I want to thank you so much for being involved and engaged in this presentation. And I look forward to seeing you at the Capitol at the next Capitol Days. Thank you.